you have to have an ideal customer, and you better get there quickly. And when you start, you say yes to everyone, and sometimes it doesn't really matter if they're paying you $100 or they're paying you $1,000. But you quickly have to get to your target customer, if nothing else, so you're not distracted.
Hey, welcome back to the show, and I am so glad today to have Luis with me because he's going to tell us all about what he does, who he helps. Luis, who are you, and what do you do?
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me, Todd. So I am Luis Garcia, as you said, and I'm the president of PEAT, and PEAT is an AI-powered learning platform.
Awesome.
To help companies scale workforce learning. Yeah.
Okay. So learning platform. Tell me, dive deeper. Who do you help with this?
So we target companies that are growing and that are in between 50 and 500 employees. And this happened to me a few times. I'm a co-founder as well. Every time you're scaling an organization, it could be a department or a full company.
Right.
There is a point at which you need to start training people more formally.
Oh, yeah.
And it gets to a point in which you can no longer just shadow and kind of informally pick it up.
Right.
You have to say, okay, I need to really onboard these people with this particular information and so on.
Right.
But companies, when they're small, they don't know how to do that.
No.
So what they do is that they go to their experts and say, hey, Todd, you're the head of sales and that you're our salesperson. You create the training program for the new salespeople that are coming to your company, or the head of HR, you'll do your onboarding for us and make sure it's great.
Cool.
And experts, and I think that because they're experts, that they can create curriculum for people to learn from.
Right.
And what they realize once they sit down to do that is it's a lot more complicated than they thought. So they thought they're going to spend a couple of weeks creating some PowerPoints, and they're going to deliver it via Zoom or in a conference room. And they realize that it takes them a couple months and that to do it right. And they end up with PowerPoint that no one likes, and the training is not really that great.
Right.
And then 6 months later, when that has to be updated, no one wants to really deal with it anymore.
No, they're done with it. Forget it.
They're done with them. They just live with that problem.
Yeah.
They keep stumbling through it. They try to recruit the next Todd to see if they can trick him into doing it.
I love it.
And so what we did is we created AI-powered tools that they take your knowledge, and we automated that process of translating expert knowledge into training materials.
Love it.
So just to give you an example, I've been in education for 20 years.
Yeah.
And creating courses takes time. It takes months sometimes.
Yeah.
Even getting to an outline takes a few weeks while you synthesize a lot of information and try to create, a structure for learning. Our software will do that in seconds.
Wow.
And then we'll go and clone your voice and take all your materials, manuals that you have, operating manuals, knowledge that you have in different formats, put them into our platform, and then it spits out all courses all ready to go.
Are you kidding me?
And yes, that's
what? In video as well?
Yeah. So we can output them as videos, and or we can be a slideshows that with the voice and synchronize. So every slide has a script to narrate the slide that's automatically created, and the voice narrating is automatically created. And then some people want to export that as a video to make micro learning courses.
Yeah.
Or it can be there as that. And then we have simulation modules that then can help assess the learning by putting the learner through situations.
Holy
and then
cow.
through conversational assessment, really understanding that hearing the mark of the learning that they're supposed to have.
Holy cow. That sounds awesome.
Yes, thank you. We're very excited.
That is very cool. And so I guess I'm going to have to dive deeper into this. So you're able to take like a course outline and the objectives you want to hit, and then a manual, or does it write the manual as well based off of the bullet points of your outline?
So the outline we create automatically with the course outcomes that the person wants to have.
Wow.
And then if you don't have any other information, you go to public sources and try to create from there.
Wow.
But if you already have information, let's say you wrote down all the process or the standards or the regulations that you want to make sure that, then we just ingest that and then it creates it off of it.
Nuts.
Yes.
Amazing.
Yes.
I'm so
and
amazed.
It can even be in different languages.
Oh my gosh, stop it. Okay. Yeah, that's crazy. I can't even tell you the reason I'm so impressed with this is because, like 6 years ago, we did a lot of course creation for companies, content production, course creation. And to hear what you just told me completely eliminates the need for that kind of agency.
Well, they have to move. They have to move on market to something more specialized and things like that.
Yeah, I guess to be honest, it sounds like the type of tool that is probably like anything else, garbage in, garbage out. So if you had an agency that was good at developing a course, they would probably be the better route to use this type of tool to help a company. Is that probably accurate?
That's correct. So we have companies that don't have any training department.
Gotcha.
And then it's the individual experts are the users. Or we have companies that are large and they already have a training department with people in and trainers, instructional designers, and all that.
Right.
But then want to use our content creation capabilities to address places that they don't even address. They never have time. And so
that makes sense.
So both ways can really work out.
That makes sense. Okay, that's fantastic. I am so impressed. So I can't wait to jump into this. So as you were developing the model, I mean, it sounds like you've spent 20 plus years in education.
Yes.
How has the transition been? And I mean, AI, how old is the company and how long you've been using AI to help you with this?
So the company is really young. We're just about under a year old.
Nice.
And it was my co-founder is a serial entrepreneur here in Orlando.
Uh-huh.
He founded 2 companies that he exited from, and his last company was a fintech company that went unicorn.
Fantastic.
And in his last year in that company, they acquired 4 other companies, and then it was onboarding all these people. And that would make him think about
he needed
how much work it was to get him. And so when he left and he exited that one, he thought, and it coincided around the time that generative AI became what we all know today. And he said, he's our CTO. And he's like, I bet I can use that to solve this problem. And so he started it, and about a month later, he took me out to lunch and he said, "This is what I'm trying to do. What do you think?" I was like, "Yes, I've been thinking about the same thing." And the generative AI can really help in the course creation portion because it's very expensive and very difficult to do, but also in the assessment part. How do we make sure people learn?
I am so glad you're here, and I just wanted to take a few seconds to tell you about a program that we have assembled with a lot of our podcast guests and a lot of people who are listening to the show who are feeling the same way that they do. There's a recurring theme. You'll hear a lot of these founders talk about, I couldn't have done it without my team. I couldn't have done it without a support group of peers. I couldn't have done it without having someone to talk to that understood my feeling of isolation as an operator of my business. You see, you're not alone. It is hard running a business, and it's even harder when you know you can't express all your deepest concerns and frustrations with your executive team. It makes them nervous. It gets them scared. You don't want scared people on your executive team. So where do you turn? The Captain's Council is where you turn. The Captain's Council, it is an organization that we are put together with podcast guests, as well as people who are listening who are in the same boat. You see, peers are the only ones that can give you the type of empathy, the type of advice that only a founder or operator know and understand. Go check it out at captainscouncil.com. I know you're going to love what you see there. We have put together an organizational structure that has small group settings, a global community of founders and operators, as well as monthly and quarterly in-person events. You're going to love what you see there. I can't wait for you to check it out and enjoy the rest of this episode. So tell me about, as you were starting to create the idea for this business, was there a trigger point in there where you were like, okay, we totally got this nailed and this is exactly what we're going to do? Or did you try to start with something more broad and niche it down? Or tell us a little bit about the evolution of where you come.
So the evolution was, it was quite impressive because he had a person that came in with he had lunch with some business associate.
Yeah.
And I tell him that this person was a marketing company, has been hired by a large tourism organization that wanted to create courses to help people sell the state. I won't tell the state because I can't develop the customer. But they wanted to create many courses to help small businesses do marketing and things like that. And he was already prototyping the solution. So he came in and showed, well, this is what I have. I have prototyped this, and you can define here what you want to do. And then the tool already, it was command line back then. It was no interface.
Yeah.
And I spit out the courses for her. And she's like, how much do I pay you to use this for my customer? And so we started the company. We already customers in.
I love it.
So we've been catching up, building the interface to the solution as we go along.
That's not fair. That's not fair. Most businesses have to really develop and then they get a client. And you started with a client and developed the product around their needs, I'm guessing.
Correct. And which is the best way to start, for me, to start a business is with revenue.
Agreed.
Because, and I respect sometimes there are solutions that need to be stealth because for whatever reason.
Yeah.
But then you miss that customer feedback. And it happened many times that you go stealth, you go for 6 months of a year developing this thing, and then you offer it, and it's not what anybody wanted.
Exactly. Exactly.
And instead, everything that we build. Go ahead.
Oh, no.
Everything
I totally
that we
agree.
build comes from a need.
Okay, I gotcha. Yeah, honestly, stealth mode to me is dangerous. I know that at some iterations of a product, you do need stealth mode because it is kind of, proprietary and all that kind of good stuff. But I love that you actually started with a client developing product around that. Would you say that's probably the smartest thing you've done so far? Or where are you at right now when you're looking back on the last year? Was there a key point where you're like, got it?
Okay, I think you asked me that where we are, if that was the smartest thing we've done and where we are in the business.
Right.
I will say yes. That's the smartest thing we could ever done. And because it does two things for you. Number one, it gives you product market fit immediately. And it helps with your subsequent sales because then I have a customer here already, so you're not the only one. It helps fundraising because investors love to know that you already have some traction.
They love it.
And it brings you credibility. And everything that you build, again, is already for the customer.
Love it.
So you're never wasting time.
I love it.
And I think it's a pretty smart way to go at it. If you start with revenue and customers, you're in a good, for sure, that you're going to have product market fit.
I love it. I agree with you 100%. And for those of you listening, when you're in a growth mode, it's so much easier to grow when you have clients actively using your tool or your service or whatever it is you're building. And because you do get that live feedback, you do get that instant iteration of saying, well, I don't like that, or I do like that. And Luis, I'm curious, with your client acquisition strategy, everybody does this, but are there things you look for in clients that really make a great client versus the clients that are kind of a pain in your butt?
Yes. And I have heard you talk about avatar, and which is like a great way to look at it. You have to have an ideal customer.
Yeah.
And you better get there quickly. And when you start, you say yes to everyone. And sometimes it doesn't really matter if they're paying you $100 or they're paying you $1,000.
Right.
But you quickly have to get to your target customer. If nothing else, so you're not distracted.
Yeah.
And so we are targeting a growing organization between 50 employees and 500 employees.
Love it.
Very easy for smaller organizations to come to us, try to use our tools, and we definitely listen to them and try to accommodate them. But they're probably too small for it. It's gonna be too expensive for them to do it.
Totally.
And larger organizations, over 1,000, 5,000, we do talk to them. And but then there's more decision makers, and they already have a solution that then you have to work with. so it's more difficult. We find that when we stay true to this avatar, as you would call it, then we become the full solution, and they're eager to work with us.
And they have nowhere else to go because you know what they want, right?
Exactly.
I love it. Luis, this is fantastic. When you look back on those stages of growth and your new client acquisition, and I'm sure you'll continue to refine your avatar as you go, but looking forward, like, is there a challenge that you hit in finding the avatar that you like to work with that you were a little surprised about that kind of threw you off, or has it been pretty smooth sailing the whole time?
No, it's never smooth sailing in startups, and is the discipline to not go after the client that is not in your avatar.
Right.
Is the discipline to say, I know you could use our solution. I know you think you could use our solution,
right?
But you're better off with these other providers, and they really target what you're trying to do, and to keep my sales team away from them, and as well, and because it takes a lot of heavy lifting every time we onboard a customer.
Yeah,
and even though our tool make things easier, this is still a complex thing to do. We spend a lot of resources onboarding the customer, making sure that we co-create the first few courses with them to make sure they're ready to be on their own. So you can't really do that if you're not getting the revenue to pay for it.
I love it.
So the difficult thing has been how do we stay disciplined with our target to make sure we're not wasting our very scarce resources.
Fantastic. That is such good advice. There are so many businesses out there that try to serve everybody, that try to be everybody's best friend. And when you stick to avatar and you grow with the avatar, you understand what their needs are. It doesn't matter that there's all these other businesses that could maybe possibly kind of sort of use your business. When you stay true to your avatar, you become their best resource. And you're not trying to deal with learning all those other industries. It's fantastic.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. Well, tell me a little bit about, as you've been working with these clients and working with the build out of this project, I mean, are you raising money? Is this something that you've been able to bootstrap, or is it something that you feel like the industry you're servicing right now is kind of driving enough revenue to build your growth?
So no, we definitely needed some investment to make sure that we had a core team that was able to execute.
Right.
And so as I told you, my co-founder already came from an exit. So he wrote his own investment and a few of his last partners as the initial investors.
Awesome.
And then we went through a seed round that was among angel investors in our area.
Cool.
And we have a lead investor as we just closed our first $2 million seed round.
Nice.
And but mostly the money is for growth. Is in the product.
Right.
We were able to develop it. And it's always in development, but to get it to this point with the initial investment that we have from our initial investors.
Good for you. I can't wait to try this tool out. This sounds fantastic.
Thank you.
As you have traveled through this space so far, obviously you're probably seeing all over the place opportunities for people that need or could use this software. What is the niche that you've kind of settled in on right now? What's been your primary avatar that you're hitting?
You're gonna be surprised. Sports venues.
Whoa! I am surprised. That's awesome.
Yes, and we were too. Yeah, so something I would recommend to people, if you're part of a city, an ecosystem, lean into it. Lean into your local network. People will want to help you.
Yeah.
And so we knocked the door of our professional soccer teams here in Orlando.
Awesome.
The Orlando City Sonic SC and the Orlando Pride. And through our contact, we got to the president of the team and to showcase the tool. And so happens that a sports venue fits the bill perfectly because they have about 50, 60 people on staff only.
Yeah.
But on game day, that goes out to 250.
That's crazy.
And all those people that are temporary workers need to be trained, and it's really hard to train them without a digital solution on their customer service, on the things that they have to know, depending on the role, on safety and security and all those things. So they became our partner really quickly for that. And then we went after the other sports venues and say, well, Orlando City is using our solution. Do you have the same problem? And they do. So the Kia Center and the Camping World, which are the only very large sports venues in Orlando, crazy. One for the Orlando Magic and the other one for the College Bowls.
Yeah.
And came to us and said, yeah, we do. Actually, we had the exact same problem.
Amazing.
And because Orlando City has signed up, they signed up as well. So they become our customer too. So now we're thinking, okay, venues, here we go. So we're really,
that's amazing.
We're really leading into sports venues now.
I think it's amazing that you've leaned into it that way, and that, you know, you're seeing the kind of success that you need to from doing that. And it's so smart. It's so smart, because too many entrepreneurs and too many founders get so distracted by shiny objects that they don't lean into the type of avatar that you've leaned into. And some might think, oh, it's probably a small market, but no, there are venues everywhere that have that fluctuating staff needs and all that kind of stuff you're talking about. I mean, I could see it in ski resorts, and, you know, I'm just thinking out loud, but there's a lot of activity-based venues like that you have part-time help. They kind of fluctuate during the busy time, then they're not there. And, you know, what a fantastic solution you have. Way to go.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
So I know you've got a partner who's had an exit and is familiar with growth and scaling and building a business, but is there someone in your network or someone in your life that's kind of been that peer support or that motivator to help keep you on the path you're doing as an entrepreneur?
You know, I've been asked that question again. So who do you lean in? Who's your support? And I'm actually very traditional with that, but I think that your support system should be the people that love you unconditionally. And so my always starts with my wife, and who will tell me how it is. And then my mom and my siblings, who are incredibly smart and very experienced. So throughout my life, those are the people that have been in my foundation for every business decision that I make. And
I love it.
And it works out very well for me. I do have mentors, the people that have definitely be influential in my life, but nowhere near my family.
I love it. That's fantastic. Luis, this has been such a fun interview, and what a fun business model, and all the stuff that you've talked about today is so relevant to our listeners. If you're listening and you want to learn more about what Luis is up to, go check him out. We got links to his LinkedIn down below and to his company. I highly encourage you to check it out. It's so fun to learn from the journeys of other people. And Luis is on his way to building a great company. And thank you for taking the time to be here today, Luis.
No, thank you, Todd. This has been a lot of fun. I hope it was as much fun for you that it was for me.
Oh, fantastic. I love the story. Great experience. And for those of you still listening, we cannot wait to catch up with you on the next one. Please check back in. We're launching new episodes all the time. We'll catch up with you later. And Luis, thanks again for your time today. Hey, I hope this interview was as good for you as it was for me. It is fantastic to me. I love the story. I love his growth journey, and I love his product, to be honest. I'm going to be diving in to check it out. And if you need something like that, don't hesitate to click below. We've got a link down below with information about his company, about his product, and all that good stuff. So dive in, check it out, and listen carefully. I don't know if you caught on to this, but Luis is one of those guys who gets his inspiration from those that care about him and want to help him grow. He also is a partner, and he also has investors. He has people that he can go to help him and advise him in the growth and scaling of his business. For me, this is something that's super powerful. It's something that runs dear to my heart, because most people aren't born with the knowledge that they need to build and grow a business. In fact, we have found at the Understanding Your Orbit workshop, which is a workshop we put on for people to learn growth readiness, how they can evolve and grow their businesses when all they really know is launch, launch, launch. Launching a business is great. Growing and scaling is different. Check out our workshop at orbitworkshop.com and learn more about what our technique and our framework can do to help you build and grow your business. Check it out today at orbitworkshop.com, and we look forward to catching up with you later. Enjoy this episode, pass it on to your friends. We'll see you on the next one.